Hi y'all. In this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to make the freshest, best tasting guacamole ever. Hi y'all, Don here with Southern Backyard Cooking. In today's video we're going to be showcasing how we in the South make the freshest guacamole. And we're going to do it in 4 easy steps. If you like my video, please make sure you subscribe, ring that bell. This will allow you to follow my site and get notifications anytime I have a new video. So step 1 is prepare the ingredients. So what I'm going to be using is some avocados, a yellow onion. Some people like to use a purple onion. Either one is fine. I like a sweet yellow onion. Some Roma tomatoes, a jalapeno, some limes for lime juice, and some cilantro. My seasoning is 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic powder. Once we finish, we may need to add a little bit more salt, so I have my sea salt all ready to go in case we do. So in preparing my ingredients, the first thing I'm going to do is chop up some parsley. I've got what looks to be about 1/2 cup. I want just the parsley leaves. The stems of the parsley are very bitter. So basically all I'm doing is just taking it and chopping it up. I want it a lot smaller. Okay, I've got my cilantro all diced up. Put it in a little bowl so I can add it later. Next I'm going to do my tomatoes. I'm going to take 2 Roma tomatoes. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slice them in half. I want to take the core out of it, the little part where the stem goes. So I'm just going to cut a V and cut that out. Now some people like to take the inside guts out of the tomatoes. If you buy firm tomatoes, not real ripe, so like it'll all stay in, and that's where to me that middle part, that meat of that tomato, that's some of the best part of the tomato. So I don't want to scoop all that stuff out. But if they're really ripe tomatoes, you're going to need to do that. Scoop it out because you want a good bit of tomato. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dice these. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to cut them, and I'm cutting them about 3/8 of an inch one direction, and then I'm going to go the other direction. And then I'm going to put them in my little container here so I can add them to my guacamole. Okay, so I've got my tomatoes all cut, so now I'm going to go and cut the yellow onion. Alright, so what I'm going to do the yellow onion is you have 2 ends. One where the root was and one where the stem came out. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut almost all the way to this root end. But I want to cut this side straight off, and then I want to make sure I peel that first layer so I get all that, what was touching the ground, all of that off. This is the very end right here. So I'm going to cut, but I'm going to cut almost to that, but I'm not going to cut all the way to it. This allows me to still hold it in place, but yet I can trim it and dice it real easily. So now I can just right here, and you see how easy this dices up. And when I get to the end like that, I just throw it away. This gives me a good diced onion. And I'm only going to use about half it in this recipe. Alright, so I've got my onion here all diced up, ready to go. I'm going to put it over the side with the other ingredients and continue. My next item I'm going to do is I'm going to dice the jalapeno. So for the jalapeno, you don't want to get the jalapeno, any kind of the juices on you, especially around your eyes or anywhere else. So I wear a glove whenever I'm handling it. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the very top of it off, and then I'm going to cut it in half. And depending on how you like yours, Some people like their guacamole a little spicier. In that case, I may leave the membrane and the seeds in, but most people don't want that extra heat. So what I'm going to do, and again I'm grabbing a glove with this in, is I'm going to take and pull the membrane and all the seeds out of it. This is what gives the jalapeno the heat. And yet the jalapeno's got a real good flavor. Okay, so now I have my jalapeno with the membrane and seeds out of it. So I'm going to lay them down, and I want to dice these. For guacamole, I want them diced small. So I'm going to cut maybe 1/8 of an inch strips. And then I'm going to go, again, dice them up. I'm going to go this way. Alright, so I got my jalapenos diced up and they're here in my container. The next thing I'm going to do is get my avocados. And for this I'm going to use 4. A normal recipe would be 2, but we have a lot of people coming, eat fajitas, so I'm trying to prepare enough for everybody. The only reason I'm not using my last 2 is my wife is highly allergic to raw onions. So I'll make a recipe for hers without the raw onions. And I'll use some dehydrated onions, dried onions, instead in hers. Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is you don't have to peel these stickers off, but a good ripe avocado just gives a little bit. It's not rock hard, but it's not mushy either. So basically what we want to do is take and cut, and we want to go all the way around, and then just take it and twist it. Take your knife, pop it into the seed, and twist, and it comes right out. Then we are going to take a spoon, a soup spoon is perfect, and we're just going to scoop everything out and put it right into our bowl. Just like that. Alright, I've got the avocados all in my bowl. The last thing I do is get my limes prepared. So firm limes are better, and the best way to get most of the juice out of it is take it and put some pressure on it and roll it. And it'll actually make it real easy to juice. So we're going to cut them in half. And I'm going to squeeze them right into a bowl. Alright, I've got 3 of my 4 halves squeezed. And the reason I didn't do my last half is that is going to be the little trick that I'll show you at the end of how to preserve this. So I'm going to pour my lime juice right over the avocados. I'm going to take a regular fork, and I want to kind of mush it all up. Sometimes it's easier if you have 2 forks. But we just basically want to chunk it all, get it mashed down. It doesn't matter if you have some chunks in there. Alright, so I've got my avocados all mashed up. So now I'm going to start adding my other ingredients. I'm not going to use all of this onion. Realistically, I'm going to use about 1/4 of it. Doesn't take a lot. The tomato, I'm going to use about half of this tomato. And the cilantro, about half also. And some people don't like cilantro, so if you don't like it, you don't have to put it in. To me and my wife both, we really like the flavor of it. And I'm going to put about half the jalapeno in there. I'm not going to grab this because it's going to be a little warm. And then I'm just going to fold it all over. I'm going to check and see how it all looks. The other thing I'm going to put in, now that I've got it mixed up a little bit, I'm going to put in my seasoning. I don't want anything really overpower my avocados, but I want it to all add on to the flavor. And you can see here, I need just a little bit more tomato. And I do this all by sight. How does it look? What the impression I'm having on it. Alright, so I have it all mixed up now. Now it's the big critical thing. It's how does it taste? This is one area that we can add more salt if we need it. The big deal is we don't want to add a lot of salt up front. We can always add more. But once you get too much in there, you can't take it away. So I've got a good chunk. I'm going to just take it and taste it. Oh, that's pretty good. I don't think I need to add any salt in it at all. So what we're going to do next is going to store it. Alright, so our last step is to prepare to store it. I'm going to store it in a plastic container. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze that last half of lime and get the lime juice. Okay. And then I'm just going to remove all the guacamole from this bowl and put it into the plastic one. Now the big key with for not turning it brown is the air oxidizes it. That's what actually turns it brown. So we want to prevent any air from getting to our guacamole. So once I have it all pushed in here, what I want to do is I want to push it down and make it flat so the least amount of air gets to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour a little bit of this lime juice right across the top. Again, giving it a little bit of a coat. And then I take a piece of saran wrap, place it over, and I'm going to actually tap it down on top of the guacamole and lime juice. That way there's not any air coming out of it. This way it'll store well for 2 or 3 days. You're never going to get a week out of it. Generally what you want to do on guacamole is make it fresh for use of today. But sometimes you have extras and leftovers. Just squeeze a little lime juice over it, put it on here, and then close it up. You'll be good. Hey y'all, really appreciate you watching my video about how to make guacamole. You'll find that this is one of the best recipes you'll ever try. It is so easy to use. Realistically, if I wasn't filming, it would take me about 10 minutes to do everything. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you next time.